Greetings everyone and greetings Sir Janus. We are the Group 4. I am Radin Riam Maloles, the leader of this group, and let me introduce my co-members. Please welcome Cassandra Nicole Sante, April Joy Franco, and Christian Carl Salan. Today we are going to present the library management system. To give you a quick picture of the problem that we are solving right now, please imagine a small bustling library. So the library needs a reliable way to keep the track of two main things. So first is the people walking through the doors. That's called the members. And the items sitting on the shelves are the books and the magazines. So the rules are very simple but strict. So we need to able to register new members and add new items to our catalog. When a member borrows a book from a magazine, it leaves a shelf. So meaning no one else can borrow it until it gets returned. So we also need to be able to see exactly who is holding it and what if the member leaves it or the item get lost. So we need to easily remove them from the system. To prove that our program is handled it smoothly, we built a series of step-by-step test cases that we are going to show you later. And now, before we look to the actual code, we have to talk about how it all structured. So building a system like this requires a good architecture. Later in our presentation, my groupmates are going to walk you through our UML class diagram. They will explain the specific relationship between our classes. So is it inheritance between the items and it has a aggregation that connects the members to the library.
To now greetings, I'm Cassandra Koji Santa and I'll be discussing about our class diagram. Our architectural analysis begins with the library system class, which functions as the root controller and central repository for the application. Within the middle compartment, designated for attributes, you will observe the minus symbols preceding members and catalog. This notation indicates private visibility, a fundamental requirement of encapsulation that restricts direct external access to ensure data integrity. To initialize this structure, the system invokes the library system constructor, which establishes the necessary collections. The operations in the bottom compartment are marked with plus symbols denoting public methods, which this includes add member and add item, which serve as the primary interface for populating the library. The connection here is aggregation, represented by the hollow diamonds. This relationship signifies that while the system manages these objects, the members and the library items possess an independent life cycle and are not strictly owned by the system container. Next is the member class. On the left, which represents the system primary actors. Following the principle of information hiding, the name attribute is marked private. The member constructor is responsible for instantiating each user with a specific identifier and initializing their personal borrowing registry. The functional logic of the system flows through these public methods, which execute the borrowing and returning operations. Next, this class is connected to the catalog via a directional association. Um, the multiplicity labels of 1 and 0 to many are critical. They specify that while an item is associated with exactly one borrower, a single member is permitted to hold references to multiple items simultaneously. To the right, we find the library item class. This is defined as an abstract class, meaning it serves exclusively as a conceptual blueprint and cannot be instantiated as a direct object. In the attribute compartment, we see hashtag symbols uh, next to the title and is borrowed, which represent protected visibility. This modifier ensures that the data remains hidden from the general classes while remaining accessible to any specialized child classes in the hierarchy. Furthermore, notice the asterisk next to the get type method. This identifies it as an abstract method. It contains no implementation within this class. Instead, it acts as a mandatory contract that requires every specific subclass to define its own unique identity. This abstraction is the foundation of our system's extensibility. At the base of our hierarchy are the book and magazine classes. They are linked to the parent through inheritance or generalization, which represents formal is our relationship. During initialization, these classes employ superclass chaining. Their constructors use the supertitle keyword to delegate the assignment of common data to the parent library item constructor, minimizing code redundancy. Um, these subclasses are responsible for method overriding. They provide concrete implementations for the getType placeholder, returning the specific strings book and magazine. This is a polymorphism in action. It allows the library system to manage a diverse list of items through a single interface while ensuring each object retains its specialized behavior during the final reporting phase. All in all, the system flows moves from centralized management library system to transactional interaction member guided by a standardized blueprint library item and fulfilled through concrete specialization book and magazine. By adhering to professional UML notation and object-oriented principles, we have developed a library architecture that is secure, maintainable, and highly scalable. That's all, and thank you.
Greetings everyone. I'm April Joy S. Franco and I'm part of the Group 4 and I will be discussing the class relationship and multiplicity of our library management system. So our system is composed of 5 classes called library system, member, library item, or the abstract or parent, book, it extends library item and magazines. This also extends the library item. So let me explain how each of these classes are related to one another. The first relationship is between the library system and the member. This is an aggregation relationship. In our code, the library system class contains a private attribute called members, which is a list member. This means that one library system object can manage zero or more members objects. So the multiplicity is 1 to 0 or many. We say it is a aggregation because members objects are created independently in main.java and are simply added to or removed from the library system through the add member and the remove member methods. So the second one is the library system and the library item. So this is also an aggregation relationship. The library system has a private attribute called catalog, which is a list library item. One library system can hold zero or more library item objects in its catalog, giving it a multiplicity of 1 to 0 or many. Just like with the members, items are initiated separately and managed through the add item and remove items method. So the third relationship is between member and library item. So this is an association relationship. because member class has a private attribute called borrowed items, which is an list library item. This means one member can be associated with zero or more library item objects at a time, giving it a multiplicity of 1 to 0 or many. This relationship is what powers our borrowing feature of our system. So when a member borrows an item, the borrow item method sets the item status to borrow and adds it to the member's list. When returned, or the return item sets it back to available and removes it from the list. So the fourth and fifth relationships involve inheritance, also called generalization. Both book and magazines extend the abstract class called library item. This means book and magazine inherits the attributes title and is borrowed as well as the methods. Get title is borrowed and set borrowed from library item. Since library item is declared abstract, it cannot be initiated on its own. Only the book and magazine can be used as an actual object. Both subclasses are required to override the abstract method getType, which returns either book or magazine, depending on the object. So this demonstrates a polymorphism in our program, as well as the library system can handle both types uniformly through the parent class called library item. So to summarize up all of this, our system uses aggregation between library system and its member and catalog, association between members and the items they borrow, and inheritance between library item and its two subclasses called book and magazine. So these relationships work together to make the system functional, organized, and object oriented. So thank you for listening and on to the next reporter.
Alright, so let's start with the items to shops. We created an abstract called library item. Think of the library item as a generic blueprint. You can't walk into a library and just ask to borrow an item. So you have to ask for a book or a magazine. Because of that, we made this class a abstract. So it holds the shared DNA for anything in the library. There's a title and there's a boolean flag code is borrow that acts as a on and off switch to tell us if it is currently on the shelf or at someone's house. So it also required a get type method that forces any child class to declare what it is. Next, we have the book class. This part is very straightforward to the book class extends our library item blueprint. It inherits the title and borrowing status automatically. The only thing that it does is override the get type method to return the word book. So it's simply saying that I am the library item and I'm specifically I am a book. Finally, where all these books members goes. So they go in the library system. So the library system class is the library building itself. So inside this building we have two main storage. These are the members that list of registered people and the catalog list of all library items. So whenever someone signs for a library card, we use the add member method to put them in the members list. Whenever the library buys a new book, we use the add item method to put it in the catalog. So, of course, if the books gets ruined or the member leaves it, we have a remove methods to take them off the list. So, it is a central hub that keeps everything organized.
Dangal greetings everyone. I'm Christian Garcilan and I'm going to explain the magazine main and member class of our program. So first, let's start with our main.java. So on our main.java, we have a create object. So we set the member 1 to Juan de la Cruz, member 2 for Maria Clara, book 1 for Java programming, and Magazine 1 or Mag 1 for Science Monthly. So let's start with our TC1 create library members. So on this, register created member object into library system. It is demonstrate how the library system maintain a list of track of all active users, increasing its internal size counter as a new users are added. So next is our add library items. So add library items is similar to TC1. This populates the library inventory to takes a newly created books and magazine objects, store them in the system catalog, making them officially available to be borrowed. So same as the create library members. The member one is added to our library. The member two is also added to our library. Same as that. The book one is added to our library, and the magazine one or mag one is also added to our library. So next is our member borrowed books. So on our member borrowed books, this simulates the checkout process. When member one borrow books, the system update the internal state of our book one object, changing it boolean to borrowed flag to true. So this ensures the book that marked as unavailable, so no one else can take it. So that is our member borrows a book. So next, member borrows a magazine. um this mirror or same as the member borrow book, so but use a different member and different item type, so it highlights how the system process transaction universally regardless of whether the library item is book or magazine. So next is our TC5. So this is our TC5. So on our TC5, we have a show borrowed items for the member. This is the auditing function. The code loops through every active member in the system and retrieves their specific list of borrowed items. So it provides that the system successfully track the relationship between a specific user and the exact item they hold. So next is our member returns an item. So this reverses the borrowing process when member 1 return book 1, the item is borrowed state is switched back to false, effectively releasing it back into available circulation pool for the other members to use. So the book 1 is returning to the member 1. So or the member 1 is return item for the that book 1. So next is the remove member. So our remove member, this demonstrate the account deletion. By removing member 2, the system deletes their record from active member list, simulating a patron canceling their library card. So this is our remove member. So the member 2 is removing onto our library or on our our library. So next is our remove library item. So this simulates inventory management such as removing a lost or damaged item. The magazine is permanently deleted from the library catalogs, shrinking the total inventory size. So our magazine 1 or mag 1 is removing onto our library, and that's our main Java class. So let's proceed to our member Java class. So now let's proceed to the member Java class. So first we have our import. So import java.util.arraylist and the import java.util.list. This line bring the Java built-in tool for creating a dynamic list. So which you need to keep track of the borrowed items. So next is the our constructor. So on our constructor, we have a public member. So this is the setup method for the run automatically when use the member. It requires name to pass in. So this name equal name. takes the name you provided and save it to the object's private name variable. So same as the borrowed items equals new array, create a fresh empty list for the specific member so they are ready to start the borrowing. So next is we have the getters. On our getters, we have a public string get name. So it allows other part of your program to ask for and receive for the member's name. So next is our public list library items. So this allows other part of our program to look at the member list for the borrowed items. So next is our what we call this borrowing logic. So public boolean borrow item library item, a method that tries to check out item. It will return true if it works or false if it fails. So that's the borrowing logic of. So next we have a borrowing logic, public boolean borrow item, a method that tries to check out an item. So next is we have a borrowing logic, public boolean borrow item, library item, um, a method that tries to check out an item. It will return true if it works or false if it fails. So if not item is borrowed, it means not. This is check if the item is not already borrowed. So item that set borrowed true. When change item status borrowed, no one else can take it. So borrowed items add items. So it add this member personal list. So next is we have return false. If the if statement was false, meaning the item was already borrowed, the code is skipped down there and reports the checkout failed. So next is our return item. So returning logic, public boolean return item, a method that tries to return item returning true or false based on the success. So if borrowed items that contains items, check a crucial role that this member actually have this specific item in their list. So item that set borrowed false. If yes, change the item status back to available. So borrowed items, remove the item from the member personal list. So return true, tell the system to return was success. So next, so that's our member.java class. So next is the my last part, the magazine.java class. So on this public class magazine extend library items, this is the most important line. So this is the most important line. Um, because it creates the magazine blueprint and use the keyword extend to establish the parent-child relationship with the library item. It tells Java a magazine is a specific type of library item, so it can give it all the variable and method that a library item has already has. Ulit. Next is our magazine.java class. So public class magazine extend library item. So on this is the most important line because it creates the magazine blueprint and use the keyword extend to establish a parent child. So relationship with library item. So it tells Java like a magazine a specific type of library item. So our next is the magazine.java or the magazine class. So first we have the public class magazine extend library item. This is important of our this. So next we have magazine.java class. So public class magazine extend library item. This is the most important line because it creates the magazine blueprint and use the keyword extend to establish a parent-child relationship with the library item. So next is public magazine string title. This is the setup method that runs when you create a new magazine using a new magazine Science Monthly. It expects that you provide a title. So next, we have a super title. So on our super title, this is the very hand Java keyword because the parent class library item already knows how to store a super title. Next is our super title. This is very handy. Next is our super title. This is very handy Java keyword because the parent class library item has already know how to store a title. Super title basically says like parent class, I just received this title. I'm passing it up to you so you can save it using your existing code. So we have next is we have the override method. This is the annotation a note from this is the annotation. It signals that the parent class library item has already a method called getType, but you want this magazine class to provide its own specific version of that method, ignoring the parent default answer. So public string getType defines the method that will be called whenever the system asks this object what kind of an item it is. So next is this. So return magazine. So the specific answer this class provide whenever get type is called on magazine object. It hand back the text string magazine. So that's my part. The magazine.java, main.java, and the member.java. So thank you.
Alright, so to wrap it up, I want to emphasize that we build today is more than just a digital ledger. By using object-oriented programming, we created a system that truly mirrors reality. Through encapsulation, we protected our data by ensuring a book can never be borrowed by two people at once. And through the inheritance, we build a foundation that is completely future-proof. So, if this library decides to start renting our laptops or audiobooks tomorrow, our architecture is already prepared to handle it without breaking it. So, ultimately, programming is about bringing order to chaos. We are proud to have the translated to complex real-world operations of the library into clean and reliable Java code. So thank you for your time and attention. So we are now open for your suggestion to improve our report for today. Thank you, sir.